It's so quiet in here. I feel like I'm talking really loud. Hi everyone, how are we doing? Are we all right? It is Monday morning. Well, it is when I'm filming this. It's actually 9:10 in the morning, and it's also the 1st of May. This is a month that I go into the field for 6 months. So I'm filming this video because I want to talk a little bit about sort of mental health and like self-care in the field, because obviously I've got a big field season coming up. 6 months is a very long time, and it's just got me thinking, and someone the other day recommended that they'd kind of like to hear me talking about it. Now, I don't really have a big point to make in this video, but I just wanted to sort of open up a bit of a dialogue and just talk about it, and maybe it'll get other people talking as well. So like I said, this month I'm going to be going into the field for 6 months. This will be the longest amount of time that I've been in the field. And for any of you that are maybe new here, I work in Madagascar. So I'm from the UK, I'm currently in Canada, in Toronto, but I work in Madagascar. So a lot of time zone changes going on. But this will be the longest amount of time that I've been in the field. My first 2 times, this is my 4th time as well, my first 2 times were just for about 6 to 7 weeks. My 3rd time, which was last year, was 3 months, and then this year my 4th time is going to be 6 months, and then if all goes well I'll go again next year for another 6 months. And that is a long amount of time. So recently I feel like there's been a really big push to talk more about sort of mental health and self-care in general in academia, but there isn't really a lot of talk about your mental health when you're in the field and when you're doing field research, which personally I feel like there should be. So that's why I'm hoping this might start up a little bit. It's fieldwork for me. Now, I know mental health and everything like that is so individual, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how they should feel or what to do if you feel in certain ways about going into the field, but this is just how I personally feel. And I feel whenever I go into the field, I feel really torn. I feel incredible sense of happiness and joy because it's doing the thing that I truly love, and I get to see the people that I love as well. I have a field family, I have friends, I have the lemurs that I love, I have the forest that I love, I have the general sort of way of life in Madagascar that it's a bit slower, it's kind of a break from the craziness of living in a city. So I feel a lot of joy and happiness in that sense, but I also feel a lot of sadness, a lot of anxiety, and just general feeling a bit down because I'm leaving my family and I'm leaving my friends here, and it tears you in half a little bit because you're so happy to be there, but you're also so sad to not be at home. So there's a part of me that always really wants the two to combine, and it's always really hard to explain to people what that feels like if they don't necessarily do field work or do something similar where they feel the same way. And I feel like that needs speaking about a little bit more. I think because we work, or people that do field work or anything where you're traveling for a long period of time away from home, we have such an incredible job. You know, we get the opportunity to be able to go and do these things, that there's a little bit of an unspoken sense of that we should just feel happy and lucky to be able to do that all the time. And you almost feel guilty for feeling sad, and that you shouldn't feel sad because you're lucky to have this opportunity. So there's a lot of conflicting sort of feelings going on with it. And for me as well, like my field experience where I work, we have very, very limited phone signal. There's about two places in a walkable distance that you can get phone signal, and even then the phone signal is very patchy. And for example, like my phone that I have here, I can't get phone signal when I'm in the field, so I had to buy a separate phone when I was in the field, like a cheaper phone that doesn't have internet or anything like that, so that I can pick up phone signal to be able to call out. I have no internet, I have nothing like that, so whenever I'm in the field, I try and plan it that I have 4 weeks in the field, and then I have a week or like at least 4 days where I head back into the city, so I can sort of check in with home and friends and family and things like that. But when I'm in the field, I only have really my very limited phone signal and a satellite phone, which I can send sort of messages out on a satellite phone or emails out, but it is expensive, and I only have a plan that allows me to do so many of those because it's so expensive. And even then it's limited because you can't always get satellite signal, particularly when you're in the forest. It can be very limited. So that's another thing that I have to sort of consider, is that I don't always get easy access talking to people at home, which for me I find a little bit easier. For everybody else that might not be the case, but for me I find it a little bit nicer that I can't talk to people, because then I'm not wanting to talk to them all the time and I can just kind of escape into my field work. For me, some of the things that I maybe do to try and protect my mental health a little bit, because I'm someone that, you know, I have a history of struggling with anxiety and depression, and sometimes that does take a hold in the field, and it did last year when I first got there. I really was very overwhelmed, very anxious, very stressed, and when I first got there I felt like I couldn't do it. Once I got into the field I felt a lot better, and I loved my time, but you know, we all have those moments of doubt. But some of the things that help me is I read a lot, so I kind of escape into that. I make sure that I take things with me that I know either remind me of home or make me feel better. So I make sure that all of my, it sounds really, really ridiculous, but I make sure that I've got like my favourite toiletries. So I bought a really nice shower gel that was all sort of eco-friendly and everything, but it was something that I felt like was a bit of a splurge, and you know, I really liked it. I made sure that I had all of my favourite like podcasts and music and things like that, so whenever I would go for a shower I would listen to a podcast. I made sure that I had books, that I had movies, I had TV shows. I would make it that, you know, me and my team would sit and we would watch a TV show or a movie sort of once a week or something, and we would all sit together. I made sure that we all had dinner, sat together, that we communicated with each other when we were feeling down. I made sure that like my team felt that they could talk to me and I could talk to them. And I took a hammock. If you ever work in the field and you work in the forest, take a hammock, because it's the best thing. You can sit in it and you can read, you can listen to music, you can just listen to the forest, whatever it might be. What else? Like I make sure I'm having my satellite phone and making sure that I can communicate with outside in some ways, not just for a safety aspect, but also for like a personal mental health aspect as well. Games like cards, I got bananagrams, that's always fun. But as I said before, like this is all really individual and everybody deals with these things slightly differently, and you know you. But I just wanted to open up this dialogue, and particularly about mental health in the field and how it's an experience that people don't necessarily understand unless they do it themselves. And you are truly torn. And I know that, for example, when I leave to go into the field at the end of the month, I'm going to cry. It's going to be really hard. But I also know that when I leave the field to come home, I'm going to cry and it's going to be hard. Because as happy as I am to be going either way, I'm also sad to be leaving the other way, if that makes sense. So, and I know next year when I do my, when I do my last full field season, I don't know when I'm going to get to go back again. And I don't know when I'm going to get to see my team or the family that I've made in the field with the local communities. I don't know when I'm going to get to see them again. So saying goodbye then is going to be really hard. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of talk about it a bit and to get everybody else's ideas. There's a lot of us that work in remote areas. There's a lot of us that work really far away from home. What are your strategies for sort of coping with that, and how do you feel about it? Some people see it as a complete escape and don't miss necessarily being at home. Some people do field work and then realise that it's too much being away from home and they can't do it and they never do it again. And that's okay. That's okay. I've had times where I don't think I can do it. Maybe this time I won't think I'll be able to do it. And that's all I had to say. There was no end point with this. I just wanted to talk about it. Thank you for joining. And I hope whenever you're listening, you're having a good day. You're going to have a good rest of your day or rest of your week or wherever it is that you are in the year. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Where am I going with this?